Can you see the screen?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we have been looking into fault tolerant networks, and in particular, we were looking at multi-stage interconnection networks. We were looking at a particular multi-stage interconnection network called the butterfly network. We studied the structure of the butterfly network, and we found out how to draw a butterfly network, any size that is given to us. We learned why this basic butterfly network is non-fault tolerant, and we also saw how the structure can be made fault tolerant by adding um, an extra stage. And up to this, is there any question? Yes.
Sir, I have a doubt in the definition that you told in the last class.
Okay. Which definition?
So the in deterministic measure persistence, the persistence of the cycle graph is one. I don't understand.
Can you see slide number 8?
No, sir, I'm on 7. Yeah, now I can see it.
Okay.
Yes. So the definition in which this is written is persistence of a cycle graph is one. Failure of just one node causes a cycle of n nodes to become a path of n minus 1 nodes. This is clear. But the next line, and the diameter jumps from floor n by 2 to n minus 1. So let's consider a cycle graph of 5 nodes. Then it will have 5 links. So distance will be 1 because it is the smallest number of links between the two nodes. So if I consider two adjacent nodes, so the distance will be 1 and the diameter will be 4 because it is the longest distance.
What did you say once more?
Yes, sir. The cycle graph of 5 nodes. This is okay. And then the distance between two adjacent nodes will be 1 because it is the shortest distance. Is it right?
Yes.
And the diameter will be 4 because it is the longest distance.
What is diameter? Diameter of a network is the longest distance between any two nodes.
Yes. So if I consider these two adjacent nodes, then the diameter will be 4. So the
Any
line of I'm not talking about any two node. I'm considering the specific two adjacent nodes.
Why
so the
are
line
you
that they have written,
diameter of a network is the longest distance between any two nodes.
yes, sir.
So it could be the connection between say 2 and 5. So 2 and 5, the longest distance is
will be 3.
Is the longest distance between any two nodes. So any two nodes, what is it? The shortest distance between 2 and 5 is 2, which is 2, right? It is n by 2.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And for any other node, it is similarly n by 2.
What's it? N by 2? How it is n by 2?
Huh?
So diameter is the longest distance, na? So the longest distance between 2 and 5 will be 3.
No. See, the diameter does not involve two specific nodes. Diameter is a parameter which relates to the whole network. Distance is a parameter which relates to two specific nodes. That is why it is said any two nodes. The network has multiple nodes. You take any two nodes.
Sir, how are you calculating this diameter? In this case of cycle?
In the case of 2 and 5, you do not get a diameter. The diameter is with respect to. So let us go.
This cycle graph. How are you calculating diameter?
Yeah. So first is what is the what is distance? So what is distance? The distance between a source and a destination node is defined as the smallest number of links, right? smallest number of links. So what is the distance between 2 and 5? Is 2. Distance between 2 and 5 is 2, right? Why? Because it is the smallest number of links that must be traversed to forward a message from 2 to 5. This is clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes. If this is clear, then what is diameter of a network? It is the longest distance between any two nodes. So likewise, like you found out the distance between 2 and 5, that is the smallest number of links, you can find out the distance between any other two nodes. There will be different node pairs in this network. Over all these node pairs, what is the longest distance? Where distance is the shortest number of links, smallest number of links between any two pairs. Distance is always the smallest number of links between any two pairs of nodes, and diameter is the longest distance among all such possible pairs of nodes in the network. Could I make you understand this?
So diameter of the network will be constant.
Diameter of a network will be constant.
So here in this case, diameter will be 4.
Distance is also constant. Distance is also constant, because distance, you can have multiple paths from a particular source to a particular destination, and then over all such paths, the smallest number of links that needs to be traversed. So there will be one path which gives you the smallest number of links, and that is the definition of distance for that source destination pair. So distance and path are two different things. There can be multiple paths of different lengths between a particular source and destination. However, the distance between the source and the destination is the smallest number of links. That means the smallest path among all such paths. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So is there any more confusion with respect to persistence? And why does this become a path of n-1 nodes, and then the diameter jumps from floor n by 2 to n-2? Is this okay? Hello? Or should we go into this? So then when there is a link failure, what happens? You have a path of n-1 nodes now. You don't have a cycle. And so then what is the average distance between any two nodes? For any given node, you take overall nodes, you take distance between, fix a particular source and find out the distance between all nodes, all other nodes. So if you take the average of it, what will be that distance finally? N by 2. And what will be the maximum distance from that node to any other node? That will be n-2. Take any other node, the maximum distance will be n-2. So what is the definition of diameter? The longest distance between any two nodes, and that longest distance will become n-2, because the farthest nodes in the network will be separated by n-2 links. Am I okay? Is this okay? Hello?
Can you explain this numerically with an example?
Right. So now, are you seeing slide number 8?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Now see, I have deleted the link between 1 and 2. Okay. So when I have deleted the link between 1 and 2, then what becomes the distance? The distance from 1 to 2. What is the distance from 1 to 2? The distance from 1 to 2 is 1, 2, 3, 4, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So now you have to traverse 4 links to go from 1 to 2. So that defines the diameter of the network. Why? Because diameter is the longest distance between any two possible nodes. If I add the word possible, does it make it easier for you? Any two possible nodes over all nodes, all node pairs that are possible.
Yes, sir.
Yes. So where your confusion was that what is the relationship of distance with diameter? While distance, again, if I go, consider any two source and destination in the network. There can be multiple paths between the source and destination. Each of these paths could have different number of links, would be composed of different number of links. So the path length of will be different for all these paths. Over all these paths, there will be one path which consists of the shortest number of links. This gives the distance between the source and destination. Done. For all such source destination pairs, you will get a distance. Now, for all such distances over all pairs of nodes, one will be longest. That gives you the diameter. So conceptually, what is diameter? It is the distance between the farthest nodes in the network. So now, so persistence then gives you, then whatever follows is persistence. I think it should be clear now. I need a yes.
Sir, when you
And I
deleted a link between one, sir, when you deleted a link between 1 and 2, the diameter you already said that it is 4. But how it is, but in the definition that it is written, that diameter jumps from floor of n by 2 to n minus 2. So if I calculate n minus 2, it will be 3. But here the diameter is coming to be 4. So this is my confusion actually.
Just a minute, just a minute. Path of n minus 1, path of n minus 1 nodes. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, it should be n minus 1, na? Yes, yes. So that part, if I make it n minus 1, is it okay with you?
Yes, sir. And if you don't delete this, the link between 1 and 2, how it was floor of n by 2, the diameter?
Yes. Why? Because yes, suppose you had this link. Suppose you had this link. Now these are bidirectional links, right? So take any one take any one from 1 to 4. Distance is 2. Take from 2 to 5. Distance is 2. Take from 2 to 4. The distance is 2. Take from 1 to 3. The distance is 2. Because it's a cycle and the links are bidirectional, it's a cycle, right? Hello.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So because it is a cycle, then it makes much, so the distance is much lower when the links are bidirectional. However, when you remove a link, then it becomes a path. There is no more a cycle, and the link immediately increases. Sorry, the diameter immediately increases. Got the point?
So the distance one is clear. The definition of distance is clear, but the confusion is in this diameter definition. I'm not getting the diameter thing.
So
If you
point
consider
is,
1 and 4, if you consider 1 and 4, then what is the diameter between 1 and 4? It is 3 only, now.
there is no diameter between 1 and 4. That is what I'm trying to point to. Diameter is with respect to a network. What does diameter mean? Again, conceptually, I told you that diameter means the distance between the farthest nodes in the network. That is why you are saying over all possible node pairs. One possible node pair is 1, 4. Another possible node pair is 2, 5. Another node pair is 1, 2. Another node pair is 1, 3. So these are all possible node pairs. So you have NC2. If you have n nodes, then NC2 node pairs, right? So for
Yes, sir.
overall these NC2 node pairs, you will have distances. For all these NC2
Okay,
node
sir. Now
pairs,
I got
for
it.
each of these NC2 node pairs, you will have distances. The longest distance among all these gives you the diameter.
Yes, sir. Got it.
Yes. So then we come to the probabilistic measure, or leave the probabilistic measure. You just read it. We will not use it. So I'm just going to the next slide. So then measures of resilience, we were talking about graph theoretic measures and now network measures. So what is reliability? Reliability of a network is the probability that all nodes are operational and can communicate with each other over the entire time interval 0 to t. So reliability at time t is the probability that the links and nodes, whatever it relates to, has been operational. Here nodes, we have told, fine, nodes will be the processors or memories, whatever it connects, and also the switches. These are the nodes. So these have remained operational from time 0 up to time t. That is the definition of reliability, whatever we said. So then what is path reliability? Path reliability, suppose we want to give special emphasis between a particular source and a particular destination. Then we determine path reliability. The probability that an operational path existed for a source destination pair during the entire time interval 0 to t. These are nothing much more than whatever we have already studied in the last chapter. So I'm not getting into it. Anybody has questions can ask. So what is bandwidth? So the maximum rate at which messages can flow in the network with respect. So bandwidth has multiple meanings in the context of of our network. So it could be so the maximum rate at which messages can flow in the network. And then comes connectability. So what is connectability? The expected number at time t of source destination pairs which are still connected in the presence of a failure process. So failures are happening in the network over time. So at any point in time, in the presence of a failure process, what is the expected number of source destination pairs which are still connected in spite of the failure of nodes and links in the network? So this expected number is connectability. And what was connectivity? What was connectivity? So connectivity is the minimum number of nodes that should be removed from the graph in order to disconnect it. Minimum number of nodes or links. Previously, you studied connectivity in the graph theoretic measures. I'm not going into it. So connectivity was the minimum number of nodes and links that you should remove from the graph, that you should have to remove from the graph to make the graph disconnected. Whereas what is connectability? The expected number of source destination pairs in the network which remains connected in spite of a failure process. So this is the difference between connectability and connectivity. So with these definitions, we will now go to the analysis. So the first thing we will analyze is the bandwidth of a butterfly network. So now here, what is bandwidth? And we will do this for the particular case. So the butterfly network has an input, has an output, has a set of inputs and connects to a set of outputs. Here we will think, for example, that my inputs are processors and my outputs are memories. So I am connecting processors to memories. Now we have a k-stage butterfly network, and it connects n processors to n. So n equals to 2 to the power k processors to n equals to 2 to the power k memory modules. In a shared memory architecture. Fine. Now, in the parlance of this connection from processor to memory, what would be bandwidth? Bandwidth would be this. The expected number of access requests. So processors are accessing memory. The expected number of access requests from processors that reach memory modules. Right? So what is bandwidth? What was bandwidth? The maximum rate at which messages can traverse. With respect to processors accessing memory, what will be it? The expected number of access requests from processors that reach memory modules. Only if this access request from the processor reaches memory module, that means you are being able to connect to the memories and fetch whatever you need, or rather and fetch whatever you need, or access the memory, or read or write whatever you want to do, right? So to do this, obviously we will not go for the most complicated cases, but we will do this with respect to a few simplistic assumptions, and these are the assumptions. Assumptions are, let PR be the probability. If you are not okay with any assumption, or you find it completely out of the world, or it should not be the case, impractical, etc., we can talk and you can tell me. But these are the assumptions here. So PR is the probability of a processor requesting for memory in any cycle. So the processor, any processor requesting for memory, any of the memory modules, any of the n memory modules, a particular processor requesting for any of the n memory modules, that probability is PR. Such requests are directed to any memory module with equal probability. This is another assumption. So my processor, which is executing a particular task, may have most of their memory requests in a particular module, but with rest for this calculation, for this analysis, we are assuming that my processor accesses all my memory modules with equal probability. Okay. So if I have n memory modules, the probability that my processor, a particular processor, is accessing a particular memory module is 1 by n. So I am saying that a processor accesses all memory modules with equal probability. So the probability that a particular processor is accessing a certain memory module, processor number 0 is accessing memory module number 0, this probability is 1 by n. And because the PR is the probability that in a particular cycle a processor is actually accessing memory. So then the probability that a processor requests for a particular memory module in a certain cycle is PR by n. PR is the probability that the processor is at all requesting memory in a cycle. And then we are saying that overall such memory requests, the processor is requesting all memories with equal probability. So the probability that a processor requests for a particular memory module is PR by n. Each request by a processor is independent of previous requests. This again is simplistic, because when you are going through a process, you have something called working set, and over this working set, so you have locality of reference. So variables or data data in the vicinity of data that you are currently accessing has a high probability of being accessed. The data which you are accessing currently has high probability of being accessed again. That locality of reference we are not considering, and we are for our analysis we will be assuming that each request by a processor is independent of previous requests. So then therefore we have this 1 by n probability that at any point in time each processor will be accessing any of the memories. That is why we will have that. The processor generates a new independent request even if the previous request was not satisfied. So this is again simplistic, because if the previous request was not satisfied, typically what will happen is that you will re-request that I could not access my previous request was not satisfied, hence I will re-request the same data. But for our analysis, we will currently assume that the processor generates a new independent request, even if the previous request was not satisfied. So previous request gone means gone. So with these few assumptions, we will try to understand the performance of the butterfly network in terms of bandwidth. So expected number of access requests from processors that reach memory modules. Due to butterfly structure and And because this butterfly is uniform, all n outputs of a stage, say I, will carry memory requests with the same probability PRI. Is this okay? What we are saying here, that suppose the input stage, take the input stage, take a particular switch box at the input stage. So at the input stage, the switch box inputs will be connected to two processors and there will be two outputs. What we are saying here is that for this switch box, let us say take the top input line. The top input line is connected to, let us say, processor 0. Now processor 0 will access any of the memory modules with equal probability. Now half of the memory modules can be accessed through the top output line of the switch box, and the remaining half of the memory modules can be accessed to the bottom output lines of the switch box. So I am thinking of a switch box. Okay, let me draw. I am thinking of a switch box, this one, and I'm considering this. So this is processor number 0, and it has two outputs. And I know that these two outputs leads to distinct sets of memory modules from our study yesterday of how the butterfly is connected. So this is connected to a distinct set of memory modules, and this is connected to a distinct set of memory modules. If this is so, then processor 0 accesses the top output line and the bottom output line with equal probability. Why? Because of the second assumption that requests are directed to any memory module with equal probability. So the output stage, the output of the switch box will carry memory requests with equal probability. So both outputs of this switch box will carry memory requests from processor 0 with equal probability. Are you okay with me with this sentence? Are you okay with me up to this?
Yes, sir.
Yes. If this is so, then are you okay with me with the next sentence, that let us say this is 1. Let us say this is 1. So, or any other processor number, some processor number, or let us say this is 1. Although it will not be 1 for a simple butterfly network. If you take, it will be something, whatever it is. Say I, processor number I and processor number 0. So then, in the presence of the fact that both processor number I and processor number 0 accesses for memory through this through this switch box, should I still be able to say that both outputs of the switch box will carry memory requests of processor 0 or processor I with equal probability? I can say, right? In the presence of both inputs. Yes. So if this is so, then see, due to the butterfly structure and uniformity assumption, all n outputs of a stage, say I, will carry memory requests with equal probability. Now, are you okay with me with this sentence, with this statement? So PRI, yes. Now let us go to the next. We calculate PRI stage by stage, starting from input processors where I equals to k minus 1 and working our way to the outputs. So then what is PRI? It is the probability that the output of a stage is carrying a particular output of stage I is carrying memory requests. PRI is the probability that a particular output of stage I is carrying I is carrying a memory request. And this probability is same for all outputs. So PRI is same for all outputs of stage I. But PRI in particular is with respect to a particular output of stage I, but this probability is same for all outputs of stage I. Okay. If this is understood, then we go to the next thing. Now we are considering the input stage. The probability of an output of the input stage carrying memory request. So now let us come to this one. So what does it say? At the input stage, we are considering again, let us say I have the input stage, and that input stage, the inputs are two processors. Among these two processors, both of them are generating memory requests with probability PR. They are generating memory request with probability PR. Now let us consider the top output line. And let us say this is 0 and this is 1 again. Although I'm not considering the numbers, let us say this is processor number 0 and this is processor number 1. Fine. Now, what is the probability that this output line here will be carrying a memory request from processor 0 PR by 2, right? What is the probability that this output line will be carrying a memory request from processor number 0, that is PR by 2? Again, what is the probability that this line, this output line will be carrying a memory request from processor number 1, again PR by 2? Then these two processors generating memory requests are two independent events, processor 0 generating a memory request and processor 1 generating a memory request. These are two independent events. So if these are two independent events, then it can so happen that both of these processors generate memory requests directed to the top output line together in the same cycle. Now, if this happens, then only one of the inputs in that cycle will be able to send that request, the other one cannot. So PR by 2 whole square is the probability. PR by 2 into PR by 2 is the probability that both the processors 0 and 1 generate memory requests for the top output line together. So then what is the probability that, now I come to this statement again, the probability of an output of the input stage carrying a memory request. So this, at the output of the input stage, it will carry a memory request either from processor 0 or from processor 1. So what is this probability? PRK minus 1. So this is PRI, like PRI. So I is K minus 1 here. So this is PR by 2 plus PR by 2 minus PR by 2 whole square, which is this. Are you okay with this? Are you okay with the expression? Yes, no? Yes, questions please? Or I want
Yes,
an
sir.
yes? Yes. So then, now let us recursively think and take any stage I. So now this input, now let us think, sorry. Now let us think recursively. And consider a particular stage that it is coming to, because all lines, we said all lines of at the output of a stage has the same probability of carrying a memory request. So let us say this input, okay, my God, this input is coming from stage I. This input is coming from the output of stage I. These two inputs are both coming from two different outputs of stage I. So what is the probability? PR of I, PRI. This is also PRI, right? thinking recursively, this is stage I minus 1. This is stage I, this is the output of I minus 1. The output of I minus 1 here, how will you calculate? It will be this. Given that PRI is the the probability of any probability that the output of stage I is carrying a memory request, then these two outputs from stage I will feed stage I minus 1. So at the input, the two inputs of any switch box in the I minus 1th stage will be PRI. The probability that any two inputs of any switch box in stage I minus 1 will be carrying a memory request is PRI. If this is understood with the same logic as we followed for the first statement, we will get PRI. So at the output, what will be the probability at the output? It will be PRI by 2 plus PRI by 2 minus PRI by 2 into PRI by 2. So this becomes the expression of PRI minus 1 here. Are you okay with me? Is this fine?
Yes. Yes.
Yes. If this is fine, then finally, what is my bandwidth? Okay, before bandwidth, what is finally the probability that we can find out the probability that the output stage is carrying a memory request. The probability that the output stage is carrying a memory request is PR0. The probability that the output stage is carrying a memory request is PR0.
Yes, sir, and that will have to be expanded recursively, right, to get the final expression.
Yes. So first we found out PRK minus 1. Then we went on recursively over stages because we found out stage I. Then from stage I, we found stage I minus 1, then I minus 2, then I minus 3. We finally came to the 0th stage or the output stage. So the bandwidth of the network is the expected number of memory requests that make it to the memory end. And we have n processors. We have n such stages, or we have n such memory modules. So that, what is the probability? So what is PR0? The probability that I have an access for memory to memory module 0. What is PR0? The probability at a certain cycle, the probability that I have a request for memory from memory module 0, from memory module 1, from memory module 2, right? Because I am at the output stage, and these outputs will feed memories, memory 0, memory 1, memory 2, memory 3 likewise. And all these have the probability PR0. All these have the probability PR0. Now, so what is PR0? PR0 is the probability that there is a memory request coming to successfully coming to a particular memory module. The probability that there is a successful memory request coming to a particular memory module. Because we have n memory modules, so the total expected number is n into PR0. And therefore, n into PR0 is the bandwidth. Are you okay with me?
Sir, PR0, the 0 signifies the stage 0, right? The final.
Stage 0.
Okay.
K0, not memory 0. All memory modules M0, M1, M2 will have the probability PR0 that a successful memory request from processor end has come to it. That is PR0. So can I proceed? I get a yes and I proceed.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now the previous one did not consider faults in the network. We only found out the bandwidth. Now let us consider faults. In particular, we will consider faulty lines and we will not consider switchbox failure for the current case. Rather, we will consider switchbox failure. I will give you an assignment in which you will consider switchbox failures as well. So that assignment is coming at the end of this class, I will tell you. So probability of a link being faulty is QL. So the probability of the link being fault free will be 1 minus QL or PL. Now, we are not considering switchbox failure in this case. So does switchboxes not fail? Switchboxes fail, but we can incorporate a switchbox failure. Means we can consider a switchbox failure as that probability being incorporated into the failures of the corresponding, let us say, output links or incident links, right? So we will inflate the probability of failure of links by a certain amount to include the probability of failure of switchboxes. Do you understand? To make our working simple, it won't be as accurate, but this is how you can still consider this to be something realistic. Otherwise, switchboxes can fail equally as links, but we can inflate the probability of failure of links to consider the failure of switchboxes as well. So the probability that a request at the input stage I minus 1 will propagate from one of the corresponding inputs of stage I. So the probability that a request at the input stage I minus 1, the probability that a request at the input of stage I minus 1 will propagate to one of the corresponding inputs of stage I. Okay, let us tell it in this way. What is PRI minus 1? PRI minus 1, let us consider a switch box. Means I have written it in a bit cumbersome way, but let us consider a switch box. And we said that these are PRIs and these are PRI minus 1s. Now, and these PRIs are coming from the previous stage, some previous stage, let us say they are coming from some previous stage. Now, if I have link failures, then what is the probability that this PRI will reach this switch box? PL into PRI, right? The possibility of failure of the link is PL. So previously, if it was PRI, that this switch box here is carrying a memory request from the top input line. If that probability is PRI, then now in the presence of failure, this probability will become PL into PRI. Why? Because you will not only be able to send, you will not be able to send only if you have a memory request. The link also has to be simultaneously working. So PL into PRI. Now similarly, this bottom also is PL into PRI. So our analysis changes a bit. So now whatever was PL into PRI, so whatever was PRI has become PL into PRI. So PL into PRI by 2 plus PL into PRI by 2 minus PL into PRI by 2 whole square. Right? Any questions here? Any questions here? No, yes. Got it, did not understand anything, but keeping
So
quiet.
this, yeah, this PL is incorporating all the link failures, or there is just one link failure?
One link failure. One
Yes.
link failure.
Okay, okay, fine, sir.
Thus, probability of the expected number of access requests from processors that reach memory modules in the presence of possible link failures still remains the same, and the answer is whatever was previous, but then the value of PR0 will now change because of link failures in this way. Right? So we proceed. Now, let us move to the second parameter of analysis, connectability. So what is connectability? We said connectability is the expected number of connected processor memory pairs in a k stage 2 to the power k cross 2 to the power k network. So connectability is the expected number of connected processor memory pairs in the presence of a failure process. This is what we told. Now, for the analysis goes like this. For any processor to connect to any memory module, how many links and switch boxes must it cross? From the input to the output, there are k plus 1 links and k switch boxes. Processor connected to link first switch box, then connected to link second switch box. Likewise, output stage link memory module. So if you think this, then there are k plus 1 links and k switch boxes that need to be traversed in a k stage network. And this always happens for whatever be the path. So the probability that, and remember that all these links and switch boxes must be working for successfully transmitting a message from processor to memory. So the probability that a switch box fails, if we consider here, then it is QS. Let QS be the probability that a switch box fails. Then probability of all links and switch boxes in the path being simultaneously fault free is this: PLK plus 1 into PSK. Now, because we have 2 to the power input output pairs, the expected number of pairs that are connected is this. Are you okay with this answer? Yes, no, I would love a no answer as well. Can you tell me something? Obviously, if you tell a no, you have to give me a something as to why you are saying a no.
So from where this 2 to the power 2k term has came?
The 2 to the power 2k term comes from the fact that you have 2 to the power 2k processor memory pairs. So processor 0 can connect to memory module 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 up to memory module n or memory module 2 to the power k. Processor 1 can also connect to memory module 1, 2 dot dot up to memory module n. Likewise, processor number n, which is processor number 2 to the power k, can connect to memory module 0, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4 up to 2 to the power memory module number 2 to the power k. So therefore, the total number of processor memory pairs, distinct processor memory pairs, is 2 to the power k into 2 to the power k, which is 2 to the power 2k. Is this okay?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So, but then are you okay with this calculation? If yes or no, I will proceed. But I will urge you that this is a calculation which is sort of valid, but and is also given in the book. But can you tell me something that may not have been considered here? And I would love to get that. Okay, I'm proceeding. Now I come to the third parameter, accessibility. So what was our definition of accessibility? A processor or memory is accessible if it is fault-free and is connected to at least one fault-free memory or processor. So let us say processor to memory accessibility. So when do we say that a memory is accessible? If there is some processor that can connect to it. If there is at least one processor that can connect to it. When do we say that the processor is accessible? The processor is accessible if there is some memory module that it can connect to. If it is the connection between a set of processors, then accessibility would mean a processor being accessible means if there is some mechanism by which it can connect to any other processor, including itself, through the network, that is. Are you okay with me with the definition of accessibility? Right.
Sir, in the previous equation of this Q expected number of pairs, you have written this
Back to
PLK plus 1, the link. Hello?
Yes, please.
So the probability of link, why this K plus 1 at this stage is considered? Why not this K at this stage?
Why? Because we have if we consider any input to output, how many links and switch boxes must a message cross for going from an input to output? Consider a three-stage network. In a three-stage network, let us say processor 0
So
to
this
memory
K
0.
plus 1 is the number. I thought it was that iteration, that stage K plus 1 at this stage. I was thinking it is the total count actually.
Yes, K plus 1 is the number.
Okay, sir. Okay, I got it. Got it.
So now accessibility, I told that a processor or memory is accessible if there is a fault, if it is fault free and is connected to at least one fault free memory or processor. The probability that at least one fault free path exists from a switch box in stage I to the output is theta I. For this calculation, what we are trying to do, we're trying to find out what does a fault-free path exists from a processor to the output. This is finally what we want to find out. If you want to find out the accessibility of a processor, what we want to find out? We are trying to find out, does a fault-free path exist from the processor to the output memory? So for doing that recursively, we will consider stage by stage. Now, what does theta I tell me? Theta I tries to give me some information with respect to stage I, some intermediate stage I. So what is theta I? Theta I is the probability that at least one fault-free path exists from a switch box in stage I to the output. Fine. Definition. Now let us consider the output stage. Now let us consider a particular switch box at the output stage. The probability that at least one line out of a switch box at the output stage is functional. If at least one output line is functional, then both input lines can connect to some memory module. So my criterion for accessibility is done. So we have to find out what is the probability that at least one output line of the switch box at the output stage is functional. So that is 1 minus QL square. Why 1 minus QL square? Because QL is the probability that a link out of the output stage, that let us say the top link out of the output, top link out of a switch box at the output stage is faulty. That probability is QL. The probability again of the bottom okay, let us say I have, I think you are understanding, but still, these are the two output lines and this is the output stage. Sorry, this is the output stage. So probability that this line is faulty is QL. Probability that this line is faulty is again QL. Probability that both lines are faulty is QL square. Probability that at least one line is operational is 1 minus QL square. Is this fine? So
Yes,
theta 0, yes. So theta 0, the probability that at least one line out of a switch box at the output stage is functional is theta 0 equals to 1 minus QL square. Consider theta I. Now again we consider recursively, and now we are going backwards from output to the input. Previously we were going from input to the output. So a connection to the output end exists through the top link of stage I if and only if that link is functional and stage I minus 1 switch box that it leads to is connected to the output end. So now let us consider a switch box in stage I minus 1. So this is a switch box in stage I minus 1. Now, so therefore, if this is the switch box in stage I minus 1, this is theta of I minus 1. Means for this switch box, that this switch box is connected to the outside world, that this switch box at the ith I minus 1 stage is connected to some memory module, that probability is theta I minus 1. So if this is so, then how do you consider theta I? So sorry, not theta, phi I. I am repeatedly telling whatever. So this is phi I. Now it is saying that the connection to the output end, a connection to the output end exists through the top link of stage I. So now this is an output. There is some way in which this top link is connected to, say, this stage I minus 1. And this bottom link is again connected to some other, let us say, some other memory module again having the same theta phi I minus 1. So now this is the top link and this is the bottom link. What is the probability that a connection through the top link exists? A connection to the top through the top link exists with this one, PL into theta of I minus 1. Similarly, you have PL into theta of I minus 1 for the bottom output link of stage I. So how can I say that from stage I is what is the probability that a connection to the outside world or to some memory module exists from stage I? So which is the probability that both of these links do not lead to the outside world is PL into theta I minus 1 whole squared. Sorry, if PL into theta I minus 1 whole square is there, so 1 minus PL into theta, phi I minus 1 is the probability that by using this top link you will not be able to connect to the outside world. Similarly, the probability that you will not be able to connect to the outside world through the bottom link is again 1 minus PL into theta I minus 1, and then the probability that you will not be able to connect to through any one of them is 1 minus PL into theta I minus 1 whole squared. So then are you okay with me? What is 1 minus PL of what is this?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So 1 minus PL of phi I minus 1 whole square, this one tells me that I cannot connect to the outside world through either of the links from stage I. And therefore, 1 minus of this gives me the probability that from stage I have some connection to the outside world. So phi I is 1 minus of 1 minus PL phi I minus 1 whole square. Did you understand this phi I, how phi I is calculated? Any questions on how phi I is calculated? If you have questions, I can take up maybe next day, but I can take up, but no or yes, anything is acceptable. Yes, fine. So now at the third stage, so at the third stage, what happens? I think this will be phi k minus 1. Whatever. So the probability that a processor can connect to the output is, what is PL? PL is the probability that the link from the processor to the first stage is working. If that is working, that PL into the phi of that stage will give me the probability that I have some connection from this processor, from a particular processor to the outside world. And because I have 2 to the power k processors, the total accessibility, which is the expected number again, is 2 to the power k into PL of phi k or phi k minus 1. That I will finalize and tell. I think it should be phi k minus 1 because I am starting with phi 0. So this is wrong. It will be phi k minus 1. Are you okay with me? We end the class here. Is this yes? Hello? Are you at all hearing me?
Yes, sir.
Sir.
Yes. I have one more request. Can any one of you take responsibility and send me all your Google Mail IDs, Gmail IDs? Can you send me all your Gmail IDs in one? I want in one file, please. I don't want separate mails with Gmail IDs. Can somebody of you coordinate and send me? I am assigning this responsibility to Vinay. Vinay, are you there?
Okay, sir.
Yes. Please collect all the Gmail IDs of the students and send it to me.
By when, sir? Today or? You need
Tomorrow?
it today. You need it today itself or tomorrow?
Tomorrow, take one day.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So but next Monday is a holiday, so we won't have a class next Monday. We will have the extra class next Monday. Hello.
Okay, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Fine. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome.